Welcome to the latest Wax Ecstatic Pack Break. I'm your host, Matt Salmon, and as you can see, we're going to experience a little 90s nostalgia. And not just with this upcoming week's podcast, which will be coming up on Friday, December the 18th, but over the next several weeks, we're not going to do it in consecutive weeks, but over the next several weeks, we're going to look at a key moment for Donruss, although it would turn out to be a little too late, where Bowman was able to make a nice turn from a flop of an introduction in 1989 into the set that became the set of rookies and prospects. Donruss got a little too late to the game, where they made a much better product starting in 1992. They would follow it up in 1993 and 1994. Now, we'll be doing shows about these cards later on. But it all starts in 1992. We're going to have a fun look back at how Donruss went from this rather average card set, and some will say a below average card set in the early 1990s, into a very, very nice set that is often lumped into the junk wax era, as it should be, because there are still plenty of these cards, even almost 30 years later. And there's still plenty of them out there. The value of individual cards is not going to be that high. But if you're looking for a fun, cheap throwback, this is a good one. And you can see, starting with the foil packaging, the gold trimming on the packaging, also the new Donruss logo. This is the first time since 1984 that Donruss changed up the logo. Or excuse me, 1986, I should say. And it's got class all over it. In fact, this reminds me an awful lot of the album cover art for Queen's Greatest Hits, which also came out, or got a big boost, I should say, in 1992 following Freddie Mercury's death. And by sheer coincidence, Wayne's World kind of introducing the great song Bohemian Rhapsody to a whole new generation. So it's kind of funny that this kind of mirrors that. I'm sure that's just a quinky dink, but you could tell by the fine packaging here that this was not your ordinary Donruss set. In fact, you had the opportunity to be a member of the Donruss All-Star Club, where you got free Donruss cards, a membership kit, and the chance to get official Donruss merchandise plus fun contests and prizes. Now, I'm curious, did anybody actually do this? You had to get in before March 31st, 1993, so you're a little late if you haven't. But I'm just curious if anybody actually did this. This is, and this will be something we discuss in the program too, this is something that also came of age with the introduction of premium sets like Top Stadium Club, where you could be part of the Stadium Club. So this was Donruss's answer to the Stadium Club. You could be a Donruss All-Star. Let's open this up just right into it. Now, even though you've got the fancy packaging here, the foil tamper-proof packaging, you still have a Donruss favorite. They were still packaging the puzzle pieces, and in 1992 it was Rodney Carew. And this was one of those puzzles that I did complete. I actually had a stretch of 4 or 5 years where I completed the Donruss puzzle. So even though it was all fancy and shiny, and you'll see with the cards it's all fancy and shiny, you still have the favorite here of the puzzle pieces. Now let's start with a rated rookie. That's another favorite that carried on through the years. Reggie Jefferson here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this card from the rest of the pack. And let's take a look just at this card here. So we've got Reggie Jefferson in the team formerly known as the Indians here. Of course, the rated rookie logo prominent here. But what is also prominent is, for the first time in Donruss's history, you had some quality card stock. This was actually pretty standard for the premium sets. Not UV coated. Now, if I get it in the light here, you can see it's reflecting. But this is not a UV coating. This is just a glossy card stock. And you had a very minimalistic design here, where you had just these color bars up top, color bars down at the bottom, not even a team logo. You just have the action shot. It mentions it's Donruss 1992 at top. You've got the player name down here just above the color bar with the team name and the position, and that's it. Now, the backs of the rated rookie cards were extremely basic, as you can see. You had the recent Major League performance, so that's another Donruss highlight that hung around there, as they only look back at the previous 5 years of Major League experience. Some career highlights, personal information, that's it. Now let's take a look at somebody who was not a rated rookie, definitely at this point in his career. Rick Honeycutt had been around for a long time. So again, the action shot, nice and clean. Not wall-to-wall photo, but pretty clean design here. And look at the back of this card. So you've got the recent Major League performance. So here's the previous 5 years. Career highlights wedged here, personal information up here along with the card number. And also more personal information here. The full name of the player and the Olin Mills still shot here in between. This is a very, very, very busy card design. Yet, for the most part, it works because Donruss was able to still get out all the pertinent information that it had in previous years. You look at the back of an older 1980s Donruss card, with the exception of 1981. This is essentially what you got, where you got personal information, contract status, career highlights, and numbers. But they were able to just kind of move everything all over the back and still plant a picture in the back. Now, I say this worked most of the time because sometimes, and I'll try to find one in the rest of the pack here, sometimes the photograph in the middle, because of the color of the player's jersey or the action shot that was used, as you can see, there's a gradient here. It kind of bleeds into the stats. Sometimes this would conflict with the ink here, and it was hard to read. So it was definitely a good effort, but not always a winning one. So let's look at the remaining cards in this pack, and then we'll open up the second one here. Matt Murillo of the Chicago White Sox. Alex Fernandez. Now, this would have been a huge card to pull in 1992, as Fernandez had his signature season in 1991 there. And we'll move on from there. John Franco of the Mets. Very smiley John Franco there. Mike Felder, I hardly knew her, of the Giants. So he's looking off at the plate there. It looks like a nice shot. I'm assuming that's Candlestick Park there. Greg Hibbard of the White Sox. Well, I got a lot of White Sox in this pack. Here's our Hall of Famer, Robin Yount. Looking at another long fly ball here. Great shot of Yount near the end of his career. John Barfield. Junior Felix. It's an interesting shot there. A little more butt than we'd want. Alonzo Powell of the Seattle Mariners. Jimmy Jones of the Houston Astros. Terry Mulholland. We've got Todd Stottlemyre of the Blue Jays. And we'll wrap up with Hal Morris. Dangerously close to a 74 tops action shot here, but still a pretty good one, as Morris is clearly the first baseman, not the guy back there. And here's a shot again where the picture on the back, while it bleeds into the stats, doesn't necessarily overwhelm them, as in the case of some of the pictures that were on there. And here, let me actually show you here the Greg Hibbard card. You can see the black of the White Sox uniform bleeding in here and kind of making it hard to read some of those stats, whereas the Hal Morris card here was definitely not the case, although you might have to squint a little bit with that dark red and the black. Now let's open up the second pack here. See, maybe we get a shiny, glossy Donruss Diamond Kings card. Well, we got more puzzle pieces. Okay, Dave Nilsson, another rated rookie. Interesting how, and this may just be the two packs that I have here, how the rated rookie card was on the top. Of course, you're in the rated rookie and the rookie and prospect frenzy of the early 1990s, so that may have been by design. Bobby Rose of the Angels, ultra utility player there. Mickey Tettleton with the Detroit Tigers. Jeff Robinson, then with the Baltimore Orioles. B.J. Surhoff, future Oriole, then with the Milwaukee Brewers. Paul O'Neill, Mr. Red Ass himself, early in his career, right before he got traded to the Yankees. Alvin Davis of the Seattle Mariners, truly underrated player of some really bad Mariners teams. Speaking of bad Mariners teams, Rich DeLucia proudly representing. The Banana, Frank Tanana, often overshadowed by teammates, notably Nolan Ryan with the Angels back in the 70s, but also Jack Morris and all the other great Tigers pitchers from the 84 team. Terry Steinbach, clearly incognito there. We've got Coney. The Wade Boggs All-Star card. So let's take a look at this here. This was another regular part of the Donruss sets in the early days, where you would have the American League or National League, as the case were, All-Star or League logo up there. And then very much like the rated rookie cards, a very basic design here. Again, the League logo, All-Star performance from the previous year and lifetime, and some All-Star highlights. And this was part of the regular set. As you can see, card number 23 here was not too different from everything else. Danny Jackson down on his knees, like many Cubs pitchers back then. Pete O'Brien wearing the specs here with the Seattle Mariners. And we'll finish it up with Tim Belcher of the LA Dodgers. All right, so we got a Hall of Famer in Robin Yount here. Where did he go? Where did he go? Here he is. So we got a Hall of Famer in Robin Yount. You got the Hall of Fame All-Star card of Wade Boggs. A couple of rated rookies, some that may have panned out, and a whole lot of other flotsam and jetsam. But this is 92 Donruss. This was the year that Donruss got all growed up with their shiny packaging, the glossy cards, but still a few fan favorites like the Rodney Carew puzzle pieces. In fact, I think these two go together. Or maybe I should open up the other packs and see if I can complete it again. Or maybe not. But we're going to be talking about 92 Donruss on this upcoming podcast, December 18th. And going into January, we'll have a different topic on January 1st. But on January the 15th, we'll revisit the 93 Donruss set. And then not January the 29th, but the following two Fridays, that'll be the second Friday of February, we'll take a look at 94 Donruss, where the hobby was getting away from Donruss, but they were still putting out some great products. So we're going to discuss 92 Donruss, have a little 90s nostalgia, and while I'm a big fan of leaving some things from the past in the past, especially from some of the 90s, not everything was great in the 90s, folks, but this is one of those things that is great. It's a sharp set. It did come in 2 series. We'll talk more about the set. And like many junk wax era sets, this is just a fun, cheap, but sharp-looking product that you can complete on your own for really just a few dollars. We'll talk about that in the next podcast. Again, Friday, December 18th. Comes your way via Audio Boom and also Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, Blueberry, Google Play, and Spotify. It's everywhere, and we will see you next time.